Story 1. I live paycheck to paycheck and he knows this. Boyfriend called my Christmas gifts for him minimal. Hi, I'm 23 female. I turned 24 this year and my boyfriend just turned 28. I'm quite broke right now and I just work a regular retail job. I live paycheck to paycheck and he knows this. Even so, I wanted to make sure I could get him gifts. I also got his son some gifts too. Nothing too crazy, just a few items. He complained that none of his past lovers got him anything for special occasions, so I thought that getting him anything would make him happy. He didn't ask for anything, and when I asked if he wanted something, he never said anything specific. I could only afford about $200 worth of gifts. He spent maybe around the same on me, probably closer to $300, but I still don't have some of the gifts as shipping is crazy still. Today I asked him how he felt about his gifts, and he said that they were minimal. It really hurt my feelings. I wish I had more money to do more, and I just don't. I'm broke. I'm trying to survive, and I did the best I could. I feel really embarrassed now, and I don't think I'll ever be able to comfortably buy him anything for fear that it won't be enough. I feel like crap, and I don't know what to do. He has apologized, but I still feel like crap. Any broke girlfriends out there? Holy crap! What an ungrateful jerk. I'm sorry, but she got him $200 worth of Christmas gifts when she's living paycheck to paycheck. I've spent $200 on literally all of my Christmas shopping for everyone back when I lived paycheck to paycheck, because it was like the most that I could do for everyone, and she spent $200 just on him, apparently about the same that he spent on her, if not a little less, and he calls them minimal? I'm sorry, I don't care if all she got him for Christmas was a card that says she loves him. That's enough. And for him to complain about her going out of her way to get him gifts when he knows that she struggles financially is so crappy that I hope the next Christmas gift she gives him is breaking up with him. Maybe not. Maybe they can work through stuff. He apologized, but even still, like, holy crap, is that just gross. I'm starting this video off hot. Let's hope it cools down. Story 2. I'm leaving my husband because he's not upholding his part of the deal. My husband and I got married pretty young, 23, and we've been through a lot together, but I would say that our biggest struggles have been our careers and deciding on which paths to take. By the time we were 23, neither of us had graduated college yet because college and life is expensive, and we don't come from money. We both had to choose between working to survive and working to further our education on multiple occasions, ultimately setting us back in college many times. My husband was working dangerous situations in construction at the time, and I was working dead-end retail jobs, so one day we sat down with each other and really discussed what we wanted for our future and our life. And all of it came down to us bettering our lives, which came to furthering and completing our education. So I decided then that because we still needed to survive, I would work to provide for us while my husband focused on earning his environmental engineering degree, since he only had 3 years left for his degree versus my year left in undergrad and 4 years for med school. So we came to an agreement that he would solely focus on finishing his degrees so that he could in turn provide for us while I focused on med school solely down the line. He finished and earned his bachelor's, as did I. I went at my own pace, taking the bit of classes I had left here and there while working full-time as a career caregiver to earn a living. I was so proud of him, and even prouder when he landed his dream job at a great company many months later. The job he landed in his field, it pays amazingly and it offers great benefits. I gave it the 90-day provisional trial to see how my husband meshed with the company and to see how things were for him before I even brought up the possibility of me continuing my education. After the 90 days, I sat my husband down to talk to him about the plans I have to continue on to med school. He convinced me to give us a couple of months to set up a rainy day fund just in case we needed it before I quit my job, which I fully understood. 6 months went by and our rainy day fund is pretty well padded, so I again talked to him about school plans, and he began to say that he wanted to start a family now and doesn't think we could work out starting a family and all my attention being on med school. We've talked about starting a family, but once both of us were in the fields that we wanted, so I reminded him what we agreed upon, and he told me Well, I think right now is the perfect time to start a family, and I want one. So if you choose to go to school over our family, I'll be forced to part my ways with you. I stood there in complete shock of what he said to me, but ultimately decided that I love my husband, but not enough to give up on my education/goal. So I'm giving into his ultimatum and parting my ways. Absolutely. Good for you. You have had this career set in mind. You want to go to med school, and you discussed this with him beforehand. You had an agreement. You do the work and provide while he gets his degree. Then he does the work and provides while you get your degree. And then you'd start a family when you were both set. And the fact that the moment he got what he wanted, then it's like, no, you know what? This is good enough for me. I think we're going to do it my way. Absolutely not. F that. I can't stand that. And I feel bad for this person having held up her end of the deal. She did this work at a dead-end retail job, which I imagine many of you watching have experienced and know how awful that can be. So she did that for, I'm guessing, 3 years he had left on his degree. Now she wants her chance and he's trying to deny it, saying, no, I want a family now, and in this relationship, we do what I want. God forbid it be a conversation, or some kind of compromise. So, no, screw that guy. Go out there and get yourself a degree and get yourself a better partner. Story 3. You want to send me home? Sounds good. So, I was a sarcastic and easily annoyed guy in my 20s, and this often didn't help me get along with older or corporate types. I was working at a certain pumpkin-colored big box home improvement store one spring in the flooring department. It was just starting to get warm out and the store didn't have much AC, so I was looking forward to a magical date where certain employees were allowed to switch their pants for shorts. Problem is that we had a new department manager, I'll call him Dick, who was aggressively chasing a promotion to assistant manager, then store manager. He thought he could accomplish that by being a super by-the-book hard butt and being relentlessly metrics-focused. This translated into a manager who was a know-it-all micromanaging D. Anyway, I'm scheduled to open at 5 a.m. one day on the fabled day of cooler bottom wear, and I walk in all light and airy and bare-legged. Dick, who was the overnight manager the previous night, saw me and threw a fit. "Why are you out of uniform?" he asked. "I'm not. I can wear shorts starting today," I proclaimed. "Not your position in your department. Who told you that you could?" he retorted. "The employee handbook and SOP, I can show you if you don't believe me," I offered. "I know the SOP, and your department doesn't get to wear shorts. That's only the garden. Go home and change right now," he demanded, face getting redder from my defiance. "Okay, Dick, if that's how you want to play it, I'll be back in an hour," I sighed. "Maybe the loss of an hour of pay will teach you something." So, I know better. The reason I know better is because I'm one of the weirdos who actually read the entire standard operating procedure document, the employee handbook, which is actually just a subsection of the SOP, and I really hate being wrong, so I checked the SOP before doing anything different day to day. In my store, the SOP was like invoking God, so if the SOP said so, that won every single argument. So I go home, change into pants, but bring my shorts back to work with me. By now, Dick's shift is over, and I ask the new morning manager on duty, Darren, to meet with me. "Why, what's up?" "Oh, just an SOP issue." "Okay, give me like 10 minutes. So I swung by my desk and printed out several things. My latest pay stub included my official job title and department number, the company directory that listed the department names and their associated numbers, the SOP that dealt with when and which departments/employees can wear shorts, the annual email from the regional VP confirming which departments could wear shorts starting when, which also included the line, "And this letter is to be posted at the time clock between the dates of X to X." The SOP details the company transportation and mileage reimbursement policy, a Google Maps route that mirrored the route I take to and from work with the total mileage highlighted. So I met with Darren and explained what happened and handed him each page in turn as they became relevant. At the end, we agreed that I was right on every single account and asked me what I wanted. I wanted the time. I was turned away before I could clock in, so I want to be paid starting at 5 a.m. Feel free to check the CCTV if you want to confirm when I arrived. I want the mileage because Dick sent me on essentially a company errand with my own vehicle through no fault of my own. I want this letter posted at the clock like it says it's supposed to be. I want you to talk to Dick about this because I told him this was the SOP before he sent me home. I'm changing back into my shorts. All that sounds more than fair. Get the paperwork for the clock adjustment and mileage to me today, and I'll sign it. The letter mysteriously went missing from the time clock the next day, but I replaced it every day until I happened to see Dick angrily snatch it off the board and throw it away. I reported that as well, and the letter stopped going missing. He didn't talk to me much, and I was transferred to another department a month later, so all in all, I think it was a win-win. Managers who try to be hard A's, who want to just be like, oh, it's my way or the highway. I know the rules. I am the rules. Why do you think that that is going to lead to advancement and like any amount of real long-term success? Every once in a while, maybe it does by some flukes because of who you know and stuff like that, because life isn't fair. But for a lot of you, when you do that, employees hate you. When employees hate you, they do worse. When they do worse, guess who looks bad? You! You look bad. Rightfully so, because it's your fault. So maybe, instead of trying to be like Dick here and acting like a real what his name is, why don't I suggest that you try being remotely good at your job? Story 4. I'll only be a minute. I pulled into the local Wawa because I had a tire that needed air. I was driving up to the air pump. A woman was backing into the bay. Figured I would have to wait until she finished putting air into her tires. I put my car in park. But instead of filling her tires, she got out and walked toward the store. I politely pointed out that her parking spot was for the air pump. In a very snotty voice, she said, "I'll only be a minute." So, I backed my car up so that my rear bumper was a few inches from the front of her car, essentially making it impossible for her to pull out until I moved my car away. Then, I got the air hose and moved to one of my tires, but waited until she was out of the store and headed to her car before I started pumping air into my tire. "Excuse me, you're blocking me in," shouted at me. I smiled and said, "I'll only be a minute." It took me almost 5 minutes to check the air pressure, give it a puff of air, check the pressure again, etc., and all 4 wheels needed attention. I could see her in her car on her cell phone and hear her complaining the whole time. When I finished, she started up her car as I was putting the air hose back. Then I realized I needed coffee. As I was walking away, she screamed at me to move my car. I just smiled and said, "I'll only be a minute." Why do people have to park in spaces they shouldn't park in? Be it an air pump space, be it a handicap parking space that people need, be it just anything. There are some folks out there who get so, entitled when it comes to where they should get to park and all that kind of stuff. And I don't understand. Folks, do you know that if you park, at the very far end of the parking lot, assuming that you don't have any kind of mobility issue, of course, but if you're able to easily walk around, as this young lady seemed to be able to, you could park at the far end of a parking lot of a big box store, and that's adding 10-15 seconds to your trip inside the store? That's nothing. That is the smallest fraction of time in your day. Who cares? Don't park in spots that you're not supposed to park because it's going to save you, I assume in this instance, 1 second of travel time. And in fact, it didn't save her 1 second. It cost her a few hundred seconds. Deservedly so. Story 5. My dad told me I was a failure as a man and as a son because I told him I wanted to go to Hawaii on vacation. So back in October, I got a new job, and when I got the job offer, I asked them what the latest possible start date was so that I may travel. They gave me a month, so I decided that I'll solo travel to Hawaii as I've always wanted to go my entire life. Well, when I told my dad I wanted to go, he immediately asked me when I was going to grow up and stop acting like a child, that traveling is a dream only children have. He then told me I'm a failure as a man and a son because I wasn't married at 25 and haven't bought my parents a house. Mind you, my relationship with him is slightly better than it is with my mom, LOL. By the way, still went. Your dad sounds like a close-minded mook. It's traveling is for children. Adults don't travel. They get married and buy their parents a house? What? They buy their parents a house. What generation is your father from? The 1800s? I don't understand who this person is. Like, Dad, calm down. You have the most narrow definition of what makes a person a man and an adult that I think I've ever heard in my life, and I've heard some doozies. Like, I know some of you have really, like, traditional views, but the idea where it's like, adults don't travel, men don't travel, they buy their parents' houses. Like, I'm sorry. If my dad was like this, we would not be talking. Ever. Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.